Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's live trading session and review of the week. So the week has ended quickly with the Bitcoin trades that I did earlier today, unfortunately. So it had been a really good week up until that point, but probably a few things that should have happened differently yesterday and today. So I'll go through those. Yesterday was well ahead, up over 2,000 pips, well over 2,000 pips, and was looking at doing a couple of trades in the afternoon. The Dow started to fall, was probably about 500 pips from its high of the day. And I thought it would probably be fairly safe to start to buy a position. Wasn't looking to buy a particularly big position, was just looking to take advantage of the fall that we'd seen and hopefully see a bounce during the remainder of the afternoon. Up until that point, Nvidia, the results on Wednesday night into the trading on Thursday had all been quite positive, and as I said, we were pushing back towards that 47,000 level, I think. And I think I started buying around 46,500, around that sort of point. And I thought with the sell-off that we'd seen already and some evidence of support around those levels, that the market would start to turn. But what happened was the complete opposite. The market continued to fall. Nvidia, which was up 3% earlier in the day, was down 3% later in the afternoon. The Nasdaq, which as a whole had been up 2%, was down more than 2% in the afternoon. The Dow lost all of its gains and was, so it was probably 500 points higher, and then, may have been more than 500 points higher, was probably 600 or 700 points higher, and then ended the day losing 350 points on the day. So massive turnaround, and a bit of fear being added to that selling pressure. Not massive fear, but a bit of fear, and continuing to move to the downside. So there wasn't a great deal, or there weren't many asset classes that avoided that. Bitcoin obviously came under a lot of pressure, and that pressure has continued into today. So with yesterday, should have walked away earlier. I think I mentioned it a few times. It had been another fantastic day. It was up 700 or 800 pips, and ended up losing the best part of 600. Well, probably 450, 500 on the day yesterday, and that was silly. Or I'll go one step further and say that was stupid, to be honest with you. And should have stepped away. And like I am, I can be the victim of my own success when that happens. You do get to a stage where you think that everything that you're doing is right, and as I said, it had been. And I think there was another occasion where that occurred in the last couple of months as well. So there is no issue with walking away, being happy with what you've got, and keeping it. And I've told many people, for those of you who are new to the forum, there have been many occasions when I was working on trading floors, both in Singapore and in London, where people made their money on a Monday or a Tuesday, or had done very well by Wednesday, and then they just didn't bother going on a Thursday and Friday. And I often quote one of the guys that I follow, who used to trade in the UK and in the US, Tony Laporta, with a phrase that he often puts up on a Friday, is thou shalt not lose thy arse on a Friday. I think I've done that for the last couple of weeks, to be honest with you. So it's a behaviour that needs to change, need to be more content, happy with the result that I've had, and look to protect that a lot better, and potentially look to walk away on those particular occasions. In the case of today, things that I should have done that I didn't do, that I recommended, I think on one of the voice notes, or on the, I think it was on a voice note this morning, I said about trading gold, buying gold, and trying to benefit from some of the volatility that we were seeing in the market. So I started doing that, did quite well, had to suffer a drop to about 4,025 on one occasion. But then I think we've been up to 4,082, 83 since that point, and whilst we're back at 4,068, gold has been, or if you wanted to be long something, being long gold has been the trade of the day. On the short side, the trade that you should have been in would have been Bitcoin. Like many of the analysts that are out there, everybody was looking for Bitcoin to find some support between 84 and 85,000. Went through there fairly, bounced on it a couple of times, but then went through very, very quickly. And I think if we look at Bitcoin, we're trading a low of about 80,700. So we've popped up about we have been up to 3,500 points higher, but we're about 3,000 points higher at the moment. And Bitcoin has recovered. Unfortunately, as you know, I was long Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has squeezed me out in the market today. So I won't be going back in. I still have a profit for the week because Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday were so good. And whilst I did give up an awful lot of profit yesterday, I still didn't quite hit my stop limit. So there is still a decent profit for the week. And so I'm not going to go back in. I am going to step away. I can give you my opinions of where I think the markets are going to go from this point, and I'll do that in a few minutes when we look at the opening of the Dow. So I'll just take my glasses off and we'll open up. We've got about less than 60 seconds to go now to the opening bell in New York. So we're trading on that 46,000 line. Just widen this out to a 30-minute chart, and you can see where we got to yesterday, all the way up to I think on the high it's 46,920. So we didn't quite touch 47 yesterday, but you can see over that hour and a half period you've gone from 47 to just below 46,000. So an hour and a half and just over 1,000 pips to the downside. So we're still ticking a little bit higher here into the open. There isn't a great deal that has changed since yesterday, but some of that selling could have been a bit more forced than it needed to be. So we are just open. I think if you see 45,900, I'd probably be a buyer around those levels. So we're not far off it now. I've just put a line in there where 45,900 is. I'd look for a bit of a pickup, but just in these opening minute or so, we're not seeing a great deal of movement in either direction. Still that bit of uncertainty, I think. Ticked back up there towards 46,000. I'll bring this to a minute chart just so that we can see that in a little bit more detail. So, you know, I wouldn't be looking to get involved until I'm coming down to around this sort of level, but we are moving higher. So we're up to 46,050. So buy-in was the direction, but we didn't quite hit the level that I was looking for there. So we'll come back and we'll revisit that in a minute. Just look at the other markets briefly. So you've got Bitcoin at 84,250. I don't know if this is a rally for people to sell into. Again, we're back in that key area between 84 and 85. The Bitcoin evangelists will be wanting the market to recover from this point. The people like me who aren't so keen on Bitcoin may be looking for the market to fall away and drop significantly low. Just looking back at the DAX there, it's trading 45,940. So didn't get my trade away, but I'll hold it there at 45,900 just to see what happens when we get down to that level. Bitcoin coming off a little bit. The DAX has been the stronger of the two indices today. Sterling not doing a great deal, trading in quite a narrow range. Again, probably a bit more activity in the euro, but as you can see on the chart, it's so that's a daily chart. So you can see this is a daily chart. So you can see we've been. Let me just bring that up onto the screen. So it's been quite, the range has been quite static for a long period of time. just bring the, you can see there going back to 9th of July last year, we were trading at 118.16. We're currently trading 115.06, and we haven't been a great deal lower than that, other than a tiny little bit here and a little bit more there. So we are on a level that has seen significant support to this point. So if you are thinking of getting involved in the euro, buying at those levels would be of interest. Dow didn't quite go down to our level. We traded about 45.925, but popped up about 80 pips or so since that point. Not a great deal else going on there. In terms of the trades, Monday was a good day. Good start to the week. You can look across the bottom. Tuesday just about broke even. Another good day on Wednesday, and then yesterday downside, and again today on the trades that we've got here. So the 3 trades that have stopped out on Bitcoin just recently. Obviously, big stops yesterday, got caught out there. Those are the 2 Dow trades that I got caught on. And then again, Bitcoin there today as well. So just before we finish up here, and I know it's a bit quick, but today's session. So a few people did send questions through to me. I'll be getting back to all of those over the course of this afternoon. But looking back at those markets, again, 115 holding in the euro. Bitcoin has jumped up to 84,400, really. DAX is still strong. Bitcoin's jumping again, 84,500. I think my top price would have been just above 85, so I'm not too far from that, which is disappointing. But just too exposed to that market, into the trades far too early. And wrong all the way down to about that 80,000 mark, but we do seem to be in a bit of a recovery here. I think if it hits 85, pivoting, maybe going short, will be an option. The Dow isn't doing a great deal, not seeing too much to move that out of the reasonably sideways movement that we're seeing at this particular point. Gold 4,064. I don't think that there's any great appetite to go either side of that trade at the moment. Maybe buying on a dip would be the preference, but as I leave you here today, Bitcoin trading at 84,700 after stopping me out earlier in the day. Thank you very much for joining me, and we shall speak again soon.